Hello and welcome back to Prophetic Insights. Today we're looking at CBDC, which stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. I'm going to explore the question as to whether or not it is something that is a good idea for America and the rest of the world to become involved in, or whether someone suggests it is a diabolical plot by the New World Order to take control of financial affairs and influence governments to be able to strangle them and to put a stranglehold upon them so that they can bring about the mark of the beast. So we're going to look at four areas that are important to being able to address that. The first thing that we will talk about is what is the central bank digital currency? What is CBDC? Number two, will it replace cash? Third, is this part of the New World Order? And then fourth, does the Bible speak about it? Those are four things we're going to look at today. So let's jump into it. Number one, what is the central bank digital currency? Central bank digital currency, if you have any idea, if you've talked about cryptocurrency and other technologies as such, Bitcoin, et cetera, this is totally different from that. A digital currency or a currency is something that is used by a stated nation for a medium of exchange. And so, of course, in America, we use cash. That's our currency. Now, banks accept or use credit card like Visa, American Express, Discover, et cetera. That is not a quote currency. That is simply an accepted method of payment. Okay, checks are not currency. It is an accepted method of payment. Even if you put something as an IOU, a layaway, et cetera, those are agreed upon methods of payment. But currency, as the United States government has in the central bank, of course, we issue our currencies and denominations, whether it's a $1 bill, 5, 10, 50, 20, et cetera, 100. Those are currency. That is currency. Then, of course, the coins that we use, 1 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, 25 cent, et cetera. Those are currencies that are used. Okay, so let's understand then when we talk about the central bank digital currency, it's along the same lines then. In fact, it is the central bank then issuing currency electronically. So that makes it very simple. It takes a lot of the guess gaming out of it. And it would really set the stage of answering some of the following questions that people have, because a lot of people are worked up and they see it as something that is nefarious, that is an insidious plot by the powers that be that try to take over and so forth, and the invisible boogeyman. But when we understand that it is simply a different type of currency. Now, what we should also keep in mind is that we've also changed currency before. So changing currency or switching currency is nothing that is new in the history of mankind. When you go back to the Roman Empire, sometimes people would use salt as currency, and nobody uses salt as currency today, but it was commonly used. Silver, gold, copper, et cetera. Metals were used as a form of currency. The US moved away from using metals as silver and gold, of course, in the 1800s. And then we went to paper currency. And so the issuance of a digital currency is following in the same lane. This is not an intention to replace physical currency, but in addition to having physical currency, this will be another option. So this is what digital currency is. Number two, will it replace cash? According to the Federal Reserve's website, they state the following. The Federal Reserve is committed to ensuring the continued safety and availability of cash, and it's considering a CBDC as a means to expand safe payment options, not to reduce or replace them. So cash isn't going to go anywhere. It'd still be used. It'd still be accepted, still be bartered and traded, et cetera. Keep in mind when we talk about cash and payment systems in America and throughout the world, America is not the first nation to become interested in using CBDC. Other nations have done it for a couple of years. In fact, there are over 100 nations that are actually actively involved in making a transition. Leading the charge are nations such as the Bahamas, Nigeria, Ukraine, China, India, et cetera. The US is one of many countries then that is looking into this as an option, as a viable option. And one of the main reasons, of course, that is suggested is that it will help to eliminate some of the fervor that is behind cryptocurrency. If you looked at some of the volatility that's involved in cryptocurrency, it is definitely different from the things that we normally see with regular currency. For instance, Bitcoin was trading as high as $30,000 and $50,000 for a coin for a share. Of course, then those rates went up and then they crashed back down because it's based off of speculation. It's not backed by anything in terms of confidence. It is mere speculation. Okay, our dollars and so forth are backed by the good faith and credit of the United States government, the government's ability to be able to repay its debts, to pay its loans, to be able to honor credit notes, etc. Crypto is totally different. And so that's why we have that huge spike and then the drop because it's very volatile. It's a lot of people just gambling on the notion that this is going to make them rich, and they're pushing all their chips into the center of the table. And lots of people have lost a lot of money. Of course, you see it in the news, numerous headlines of what's taking place there. So the effort by the Fed to be able to make sure then that we have a digital currency will help to eliminate that high usage that many people are getting involved into a speculative market. And what it would do then is it would then allow the consumer to be able to interact directly with the central bank in terms of payment processing. This is really what the medium is. It's a medium then of being able to send funds electronically, and it will eliminate the need necessarily to be able to interact then with the commercial bank. So very safe, as a convenience, and like any other change, there will be people who will be very skeptical. When the US went from gold, silver, and went to $1, there were people who were very skeptical. But if we look at history, we understand then that it is nothing that is new. There are always transitions in society for convenience. An interesting note is that when I looked in 2020 at the payment methods that were used, we are really very much in electronic society already. In fact, 57% of payments that were done in 2020 were done electronically. That followed by 12% of electronic payments were done by bank accounts and online banking. Another 5% were done by apps such as Zelle or Venmo, Cash App, etc. And then 25% was from checks, cash, and money orders. So when you add them all together, then roughly 75% of the transactions that we're already doing are digital. That number will only continue to increase. Now, has that created a stranglehold? Has that stopped people from doing business? Has that allowed the rising up of a new world order? Absolutely not. It is just a medium of exchange, a way people are comfortable doing business. And of course, again, go back a number of years, people move from writing checks to then swiping. Now you move from swiping to a contactless payment. Take out your phone, put in your finger, facial ID recognition, put in your code, and boom, it's paid for and you move on. Technology is simply advancing and moving in that line. Number 3, is this a plot of the New World Order? Now, I know a lot of people would suggest that this is part of the New World Order because they want to be able to bring all the world together. And I've talked about this before in various videos. No, having a quote digital currency is not something that is intrinsically needed to establish a New World Order. Those who advocate that and who talk about the idea of a New World Order, their whole premise is that this will be the elite's plan to be able to bring government control and so forth. Now, again, based on the statistics and the numbers that I've already shared, roughly 75% of transactions in America today, more than that actually now because COVID came and that just increased the usage of digital technology. So it is not something that is a quote, a part or a plan that needs to be done. And people would say, well, then now the government is able to stop you from doing business and they can shut you down and this, that, and the other. But they're using a lot of tactics such as fear, things that are not founded based on the word, but are founded based upon speculation and fear, and using that to be able to push forward an agenda that is not rooted or grounded in the word of God. So is this part of the New World Order? Again, I would state unequivocally, no, it is not. No more so than moving from salt to going to metals, moving from metals, going to paper, going from paper, going to digital payments. It is all the same thing. Lastly, number 4, does the Bible speak about this? Interestingly enough, the Bible is absolutely silent on this issue. The scriptures let us know that certainly we will use cash, our payments, silver, gold, etc. Payments will be used. That's the idea what scriptures convey when we look at texts such as James, as well as in Revelation, is that one day there will be a control. One day the nations of the earth will be brought together, and that the citizens who will not want to worship the beast power will see every earthly supply cut off. This is not done because a person has a credit card. This is not done because a person has a debit card. This is not done because a person is carrying cash. This is done at the bequest of the powers of darkness to identify and to isolate those who will be true and faithful servants of Jehovah. And when they are giving themselves in complete service and allegiance unto him, the wrath of the dragon is kindled, and they will go through, or he will go through any length to be able to expunge them from the earth. And of course, in that time, we're told in the word of God that Michael shall stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and thy people shall be delivered. And so Revelation lets us know again that there will be a conflict, a great conflict at the very end. And certainly there will be martyrdom and God's people will be delivered. So when we look at all of these things, then we have no reason to lose sleep over the fact that there are discussions of changes and implementation in trying to bring about technology. Technology is not the end. Advances in technology help to make life a lot easier. It is when men in their hearts and minds decide to pursue a course which is contrary to what God gives, that we must be alarmed. So I would encourage you to do research. Remember, truth loses nothing by investigation. So look at some of the countries around the world that have already done this pilot program, or countries that are already doing it. And if you find then that there is an implementation, that there's control, let me know. Send that information to me because I'd love to see it. But I know that if you look and you investigate, then you will find that no, that is not the case. And so until the next time that we're together, may God bless you and keep you.